Hello, good morning again. So I wanted to say the test was really well done. It's 80% class average. I have not seen that for a very long time, actually. So congratulations. I don't know, if you guys studied differently or something this time, but yeah, it was good results. And you have another quiz coming up for me on Monday, April 1st. And that is going to be on the kidney stuff, the entire renal system. And I told you before that you will have two attempts. And actually, what I told you last time was incorrect. I just checked this morning. Last time I said the final grade would be the average of the two attempts, but I just checked. Actually, I said it so that it is the highest grade. Right? So yeah, do it twice. Right? And then whichever one's highest is going to be counted. In the past, I noticed people do it immediately after their first attempt. That's probably not the best strategy. Probably do it first and then study some more and then do it again if you didn't get a good mark the first time. We do have a lecture next Monday. It's not a holiday. And we'll be continuing with this, skeleton and muscle thing. So please plan to attend because it's a difficult concept, a lot of stuff. It's better if you're here live to ask questions and interact and stuff like that. I know your kids are gonna be home if you have kids. Yeah, my kids are gonna be home, but it is what it is. We have to we still have to go on and have the lesson. So lecture 10 is really long. I'm just looking at this. We're 81 slides. Half of it is gonna be on the skeletal system. I call it 10A. The other half is going to be the muscle system. So let's see how much we can go through today. Lots of drawing as usual. Please have your crayons and whatnot. And we're going to be looking at some 3D models online as well. So the function of the skeleton, it's not something we, think too much about because, for the most part, we don't really see it. It's kind of inside the body. And most people just think of it as something to support the body. And that's true, right? The skeleton does support the body against gravity, so we don't, fall over or slouch over into a slump. And skeleton is important for protecting soft body parts. We already learned that the brain is protected by the skull, and the rib cage is protecting things like the heart and the lungs. And, at the pelvis, like where the hip is, that's protecting some of the uh, 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 lower body, lower abdominal organs, like the reproductive organs, like the urinary bladder, for example. So, they are there surrounding these softer body parts. So those are like the obvious functions that most people would be able to tell you, without taking biology or anatomy. Okay, those are intuitive, I would think. Next one is something we learned all the way back in lecture 2. The skeleton actually help produce blood cells. Right? All the bones in a fetus, like a growing baby, they have red bone marrow in them. And the red bone marrow is responsible for producing blood cells. The process, if you remember, is called hematopoiesis, right? It seems like a long time ago. All right. In adult, however, the sites that are available for making red cells is restricted to only a few certain bones, like the femur. The femur is like this bone, okay, like this bone right here. That's the femur. It's like the longest bone of the body. The pelvis is right here. Right? There's a bone there called the ilium, as we'll learn, not to be confused with the digestive system ilium. They spells differently, pronounced the same. And then the sternum is here. So these are a few bones that are left in the body that still have active red bone marrow. As we age, the red bone marrow slowly turn into yellow bone marrow. And yellow bone marrow is primarily used for storing fat. Okay, so our ability to make red cells kind of, diminish, not red cells, blood cells in general, kind of, slowly diminish over time. Um, but that's another function of the skeleton. The skeleton stores mineral, and of course, almost everybody knows that the mineral that is important in bone is calcium. But less commonly known is that we also store phosphate in the skeleton, in the bones. Um, so as you learn in chemistry, calcium in the elemental form, like on its own, it reacts violently, right, with water. It creates sparks and all that stuff. So when we say we store calcium in the bone, we are not storing elemental calcium. We are storing calcium in the form of some kind of compound, right? Some kind of ionic compound. Same thing when you take calcium supplements, those pills, those white pills, they are not elemental calcium, right? They are uh, calcium salt, calcium carbonate, for example, right? Calcium that is combined with some kind of anion. And that's the same when it comes to the bone, where we store calcium as calcium salt, we store phosphate as phosphate salt. And I just told you previous slide that there are these yellow bone marrow that we get, and then the red turns into yellow as we age, and they're there to store um, lipid for us. Next, the skeleton obviously helps produce movement along with muscle, but it's the muscle that's doing the pulling, as you will see. The bones are there to create a joint, right, to permit um, different kind of, for example, like we have a hinge joint here that allows these kind of motion. We have a ball and socket joint that allows like a wide range of motion here. It's the muscle that's pulling it, but it's the bone that's creating these joints to allow different kinds of movements. So there you have it, 5 functions of the skeleton. And most of it is self-explanatory. There are a few ones that are a little bit obscure, but nothing we haven't learned before. Okay, so let's take a look at structure and formation of bone. Bone cells are called, osteocytes. You should know by now, cyte, C-Y-T-E, is cell. Do you remember any other site that we talked about in the course? Any other fancy name that ends with sites? Just curious, just wondering. You guys remember anything?
Astrocyte.
Yeah,
Erythrocyte.
astrocytes. Very good. That's totally not what I have in mind, but you are absolutely correct, right? The star-shaped cells. Right? I was thinking about like, erythrocytes, right? Red cells in the beginning. So, these sites, they're cells. And osteo. Osteo is the prefix for things that has to do with bone. Does anybody know a disease or like a condition that starts with the word osteo that has to do with bones? You must know.
Osteoporosis.
Osteoporosis.
Exactly, right? Osteoporosis, yeah. So osteocytes are bone cells, okay? Bones are not like the wall. They're not like, static structure. As you will learn, they are actually alive, okay? And the bone constantly undergo remodeling, as you will see, okay? They will dissolve the mineral in one part, and then redeposit it elsewhere. So it's really dynamic, actually. It's not like a rigid dead structure. It's about 35% organic material, and I think you guys are learning organic chemistry, right? In chemistry right now, so you understand what that means. Organic means it contains carbon. It contains carbon, and the most common type of organic material in the bone is collagen. Collagen is it's the stuff that you have in like jello and stuff like that, right? It's just a protein, right? Basically, and that gives the bone some flexibility. Okay, bones is not, I mean, sure, it needs to be hard, but it doesn't, it is not good if it's hard like a steel rod. Yeah, there has to be some kind of flexibility. So, when you jump off from a high place and you land, that flexibility help absorb the shock. Okay, when there's some kind of for external force hitting the bone, like if you have like a long bone here, right? Okay, and then the force is hitting this way, you need that flexibility to help absorb those kind of shock. All right. So 35% organic material. The rest are inorganic material. Inorganic means no carbon in it, right? And you can see here they are salts of calcium as well as phosphate. Okay, so calcium, carbonate here, calcium fluoride, magnesium phosphate, just a bunch of them. You don't have to memorize any of these. Okay, the key thing to know is that it has calcium, one way or another, and then it has phosphate. So the inorganic part provides the support. Okay. When the fetus is growing, the bone actually starts to form as early as 12 weeks in gestation. Okay? At the beginning, the embryo will only have cartilage, and in this picture, you can see the blue is showing the cartilage, and the red is where the bone is going to be. So this process of converting the cartilage into bone starts at around week 8, and then you will actually seeing the actual bone a couple weeks later, okay, about a month later in week 12. And this process is called ossification. Ossification. Right? It involves the process of depositing calcium salt, right, into the cartilage and converting it into bone. Now, this process is not complete when the baby is born. That's why one example is that they have a soft spot at the top, right? Like if you have had a baby, or like if you have kids, or if you have some babies in your family, look at the head. It's like usually pulsating at the top. Or people say don't touch it because you're touching the brain, but it's not the brain. Okay, that's just this spot right here. Is that the bone have not fully ossified yet? They have not fully turned into bone, and it's still cartilage. It's really soft. And you can the pulsating, the movement you see is actually the blood vessels that are moving beneath it. And babies' head are really soft. The I told you right earlier, my second daughter, they had to vacuum her out, and because of the vacuuming, because of the from the suction from the vacuum, her head was actually longer when she came out.
Like cone shaped.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Like cone shape,
My
exactly
son
how.
had a cone shaped head too.
Yeah, yeah. And did you do anything about it? Just curious.
No, I just like when I held him, I just supported his head and it formed normal after some
Right.
time.
Yeah, yeah. So like my mom was holding my baby, right? This my daughter. And then she would be rubbing the head like this. Like, she would just be like, talking to us, and she'd be rubbing the head. And then my wife was like whispering to me, it's like, what is your mom do? Why she keep on rubbing her head, right? And then I was telling her, I think she's trying to reshape the head, so that it's not gonna be cone shape anymore. So some people believe that actually might help. But it's not completely ridiculous. Because again, babies. Some babies they sleep on one side a lot, and their head become flat on that side that they sleep on a lot. Do you guys know what that's called? Anybody heard that before? No? It's called a flat head. It's a real thing. So there are these like special pillows that you can buy You might have seen it. Okay, it's like a lifesaver with a hole in the middle. Okay, and then you would put their head like right in there, so that they're not compressing their head all the time. It leaves a little bit of space, and all this has to do with the fact that the head is really not fully solidified yet, not fully calcified yet, and any kind of prolonged exposed pressure can actually be pushing the head in and changing the shape. The opposite is true, right? There could be forces pushing from the inside. Do you remember we talked about this in the brain unit? What disease condition am I talking about here? Hydrocephalus, right? Remember when the CSF flow is blocked, then the CSF can build up, and that could be pushing outwards and cause these babies to have big heads, right?
Hydrocephalus?
Yeah, hydrocephalus, exactly. Okay, so bone mass increases until a person is about 24. I don't know how old you guys are, but if you're still before age 24, you can still continuously absorb as much calcium as you can from your diet, for example. But after that, it's all about maintaining. Okay, so like I take calcium supplement to maintain my calcium low. Right? Of course, if you give birth, a lot of calcium from the body actually goes to the baby. Right? So like you need to be conscious about replenishing it with supplements in most cases. So in adults, bones are continually remodeled and repaired, as I told you. And there are two kinds of cells in addition to the osteocytes. There are two types of cells that will help with this remodeling. There is something called osteoclast, and osteoblast. Osteoclasts are cells that would basically take calcium from the bone, and the osteoblast will deposit calcium into the bones. We need calcium for various reasons. Can you think of a reason why we need calcium from what we've learned in the nervous system? What do we need calcium for?
Pumping
For pumping what?
as Ca and
Oh, maybe
uh,
you're thinking about the sodium potassium pump. Is that
yeah,
okay? Yeah, but
sodium potassium.
right. So that's not calcium, right? But you're close. What do we need calcium for in the nervous system, guys? Seems like a long time ago, right?
Uh, I I
To
know
maintain strong bone.
What is that? I'm sorry, Blessing.
To maintain strong bone.
Right, okay, but then no, I'm just saying like in other instances in the body, right? For example, when you release the neurotransmitters, remember you need to have the calcium come in to push the vesicle out, right? So my point is this: you need calcium for other functions rather than just keeping it in the bones, right? So in some instances, if you don't have enough calcium, say in the blood, then the osteoclasts, they are going to, take some calcium from the bone and put it in the blood. If you have adequate supply of calcium, then the osteoblast will deposit the calcium into the bone. Remember, B is for build. Okay, so osteoblasts, they build bones. They put calcium in them and they build it and make it stronger. Osteoclast, it takes it away. Okay, now it's time for drawing. Right? Let's get some paper and do it. I haven't drawn this for a while. I only teach anatomy once every year. So last time I do this was like a year ago. Hopefully I still remember all the stuff. Sideways, I would recommend. Okay, so we'll start right here, and then I'm gonna do some like crazy stuff over here. Okay, so that's how you will plan the your space, okay? So let's take a look at the oh, I should title this. This is the structure of long bone. Right, so an example of a long bone would be the femur, right? I remember I showed you like it's like your thigh bone, the longest bone. This is another long bone. Okay, you have two other long bones up at the front here. So let's just draw a long bone. There we go. That's a nice long bone right here. Now, the bone is actually covered by a layer of, I'm not going to color the whole thing, okay? But it's there. It's covered by a layer of connective tissue called the periosteum. It's a thin layer of connective tissue covering the bone. Next time you eat chicken wings or something, after you eat the meat, you can look at the bone. You can actually use a knife to scrape the surface of the bone. The little white stuff that comes up, that's the periosteum. So the periosteum allows attachment site for tendons and blood vessels. Okay. Tendon is what connects the muscle to the bone, right? Now this long part here, the shaft of the long bone, that is called the diaphysis. That's how you pronounce it. Diaphysis. It's just the shaft, the length of the long bone here. And the end here, that's called the epiphysis. Same thing here. So there's like a plate here, which we're not gonna label. It's called epiphyseal plate. That's where the growth occur. Okay. This part, it's basically gonna be like, you know, elongating the bone, stretching it. And so imagine like when we're younger, we're shorter, so the femur is shorter, but then it's like holding on to the epiphysis on both ends and then pulling the bone longer and longer and longer. That's where the growth is going to be happening. Now, at the end of the long bone, you're going to have some cartilage. Okay, to reduce wear and tear. In joints. Okay. Now, if I look into the inside of the bone, right, you're gonna see a hollow structure right there. Hollow structure. What's inside there? You already know the answer, I think. Anybody wanna tell me?
Bone marrow?
Yes, very good. So that's where the bone marrow is going to be. That's where the bone marrow will be. Bone marrow in the medullary canal. A canal is like an empty space. We already know medulla means the inside of a structure, like the renal medulla, like the adrenal medulla. So this is the medullary canal, a canal in the inside of the bone, and it's filled with the bone marrow. Okay, so that's like the easy stuff. Any questions so far? Okay, so I'm gonna take a slice here. I'm gonna take a slice, and then I'm gonna take it out. And it is going to look like this. Okay. Hold on, I really haven't drawn this for a long time. Let me see if I can do this properly. Give me a moment, okay? Maybe don't copy it yet. Just let me get this right, so that it looks proper. Almost, okay. I got this. There you go. That's what I want. Okay, now if you have a hard time understanding what the hell this is, because I know it looks really complicated. It's like this, okay? My favorite prop. It's getting smaller over time because I've been using it. So this is the long bone, like the diaphysis, right? This is where the bone marrow is, okay? So now I'm taking a slice of it and then I'm peeling a little bit of it off like that. I'm peeling a little bit of it off. So this thing that I peeled off, okay, that's right here. That's this sheet that I'm trying to peel off. Okay? And just to make it more understandable for you, this thin layer that I peeled off, I mean, it looks thicker than I want it to be, but what I peeled off is actually the periosteum. Okay, the thin layer that surrounds the bone. And this would be like the edge of the bone, right? The edge of the bone. Okay. And over here on the inside, like I want it to be like a little bit wavy. And I'll explain all of that later. Okay. But can you draw this first? I'll give you a moment. It's almost like a slice of cake that you take a bite out of. Right? Slice of cake, right? Slice of cake. Hey, take a bite here. And then you have what I have in the picture. Okay. Any questions about this at all? Like in terms of what is it that we're drawing? And no? All right. This should be big, okay? The picture, because we have to put a lot of stuff on it. All right. So this,
Excuse me.
yes.
I was thinking, what part of bone did you zoom in?
Yeah, this is this part here, the middle of the bone.
Okay, not head, not bottom.
That's right. Yeah, it's the diaphysis, the chef.
Okay.
Sir, what cut is this? Usually you say if it's
Yeah,
a
it's a
mid-sided or
transverse cut, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, so again, right, like if this is the long bone, you're taking a slice like that, and then we're looking at it like that. Okay. You know, some of you were in my class last semester, right? Like the in-person class. And in the microscope lab, I showed you a piece of bone, right? I don't know if you guys remember. I think I showed some of the groups the bone, and that's what we're trying to draw right here. All right. So if you look at the bones here, okay, this portion of the bone, like the outer rim of the diaphysis, it's made up of what's called compact bone. Compact bone. And the compact bone, they look like this. They are a bunch of circles. Okay, they are a bunch of circles. I cannot do it nicely here. See, there we go. A bunch of concentric circles. Okay, like that. So I'm just gonna copy a bunch of them. Okay. Some are bigger than others. Well, we can do that. Some have more layers, some are smaller. Okay, so I'll give you a moment to draw as many of these as you want. There we go. You get it, right? It's gonna fill up the whole space, but I'm not gonna draw all of it. Okay, here, I might draw another one right here. Okay, just like half of it. And then it actually goes all the way down. Okay, maybe you have another one here. And I know it can be confusing to, draw along sometimes. So, draw what you can, and then you can fix it up later on. Okay. So I want to show you quickly, okay? I'll come back to this in a second. This is the model. This is what are we trying to draw? Okay. The bone, right? It's like a slice here, a wedge. Right? And this stuff on the outside, this gray edge, what is that called again?
Periosteum?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the layer that we peeled off, right? From the edge. And you can see all these little circles. Okay, but the circles goes all the way up and down, right? If you look at it from the side, you see this circle goes all the way down. There's another one here, another one here. If you look at it from the top, you can just see all of them like that. There's one here, 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 all over the place. All right. Are we all caught up with the drawings? Can I go on, or you need a moment? Anybody need more time?
Does the periosteum supposed to be like a smooth sort of lining?
I don't think it's smooth per se. It has to be a little bit not rough, but then it's how do I say this? It's like it has to be a little bit bumpy because you want things to attach to it, right? It's like, I don't know if this is good analogy. It's like painting. If you want to paint something, they say to sand it a little bit first. Okay, sanding it creates kind of these uneven surfaces, so the paint sticks better, right?
Yeah.
So it's same thing here. By having these uneven surface in the periosteum, the tendon is going to be able to stick better. The blood vessel is going to be able to stick better.
So the other side of this diagram is the uneven surface.
Exactly, yeah, which we
I was
cannot
wondering why
really
it's
see.
so ridgy at the end.
Why is what in the end?
Why is it like
oh,
so?
this one?
Yeah.
Oh no, I have to explain that. That's not what I meant. Only this piece is the periosteum. Only the piece that was peeled off over here. Only that's the periosteum.
Oh,
Okay. I guess there's no point peeling it off. Like I could have, just draw it at the edge here as a periosteum. But yeah. But usually, like the diagrams, they show that it's peeled up like that. So only that is the thing. All right, on the outside. Okay, I'll get to the other bumpy edge in a bit. Any other question? Okay. So this thing right here, one of these circle things, it's almost like a target, right? For like shooting arrows at. This thing is called an osteon. 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 And it is the structural unit of compact bone. Structural unit of compact bone. The entire compact bone is just made up of multiple units of these things. Osteon. So that's an osteon right here. There is another osteon here, 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 so on and so forth. And the osteon kind of forms these column that runs parallel to the length of the bone. Okay. So what is the osteon made up of? Well, the osteon is made up of, as you might expect, calcium salt, right? Calcium and phosphate. So we call that the lamina. Lamina. Okay, and you can just add an E to the end when it's plural, and that refers to the calcified matrix of bone. So like all these space in between, between the osteon, that's also lamina. It's basically the calcium part of the bone. Now, every now and then, you will have these pockets. These are actually empty pockets in the osteon. Okay, think of a raisin cinnamon bun. These are the raisins. Okay? And I'm not going to draw all of them. Okay, you can do that later. That is called a lacuna. Okay, a lacuna. These are pockets in the osteon. And what do you find in the pockets? That's where the osteocyte live in the lacuna. And again, you can add an E to make it a plural. Almost there. Okay, so like you might have some here. Now the lacuna, if I zoom in here, okay, the lacuna here, and then you will have the bone cells in there. There's your bone cell. Okay, the osteocyte. Now there are actually these little cracks that are coming out from the lacuna. Okay, so these little cracks, they are called caniculus. Caniculus, which are basically like little channels that allows the cells to go from one part of the compact bone to the other part. Like if an osteocyte over here wants to go to there, then they could travel through these little cracks. Okay, so it means little channel, little canals, caniculus. Almost there, for real. At the center of the osteon, there is a hole, and that's where the blood vessels are going to be coming in from. So you have the arteries and the veins coming out like that. There's another one here, maybe another one like this. And then the blood vessels is going to be supplying the osteocytes with nutrients, right, for that particular osteon. And over here, you would have the blood vessels coming up like that. Okay? And then the blood vessels actually sometimes will go sideways and it will connect to another one. And eventually they're going to make it all the way back to the surface, right, where the periosteum is. Okay, so the periosteum is where you would have all these blood vessels that are, covering the bone, right? Okay, I'm going to take a pause here just to let you catch up and let you ask question.
What is there between each circle?
Like you're asking, like this space here, right?
Yeah.
No.
The first one, yeah. The first one, the second one between any layer circle.
Oh, like
Each
this
circle
here?
has a
Like
yeah.
this stuff? So that is the lamina. The lamina. Okay. The lamina is basically the calcium, right? Calcium. Here, let me show you the actual picture, right? Like this is basically what I was trying to draw, right? So all these yellowy stuff here between the bones and stuff like that, those are all calcium. We call that the lamina. Okay, the lamina. I don't know if the drawing didn't really help. Maybe just look at the professional diagram. But I always believe in constructing it from scratch. Helps you understand a little bit more. So to answer your question, right? Lamina, that's what it is.
Oh yeah, but the first question, what does between circle?
Between the osteon, right? Like here,
Yeah.
that's also lamina. Right? You see, that's lamina.
Oh.
All this space, that's just basically calcium. Right? Yeah, the circle when they grow towards each other, like in between, these are also just like calcium. Right? These are just like calcium sheets. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so it's called compact bone because as you can see, it's super compact, right? But remember, again, we are basically taking like a slice of this, right? We're taking a slice of this to look at. So at the center, excuse me, at the center, eventually we're gonna get to the bone marrow, right? We're gonna get to the medullary canal, and that's what this is. At this location, it's gonna be the bone marrow, and you will have the osteoclast, C-L-A-S-T, that will be breaking down the bones in the middle. So then it becomes like honeycomb looking. You don't have to draw this if you don't want to, okay? But it becomes honeycomb looking, and eventually, it's gonna be completely empty in the center. That's where it becomes the bone marrow. That's where it becomes the medullary canal for the bone marrow. Okay, maybe we just take a look at this picture. You see over here, the osteon are being broken apart by the osteoclast. And then you have these honeycomb structure. And eventually it's going to be completely hollow. And that's where the bone marrow will be. Those calcium that you have released are going to be deposited on the outer edge. All right, so you see these new layers? That's going to make the bone bigger as we grow. Not only does the bone has to be longer, it also has to be bigger in diameter, right? So this kind of remodeling continues to happen as a person develops. Okay, not so much in adult anymore, okay, but like when kids they grow, especially in the teenage year, that's the process that happens. Okay, you can see on the top right here that picture. That is an actual bone, an osteon, and you can see all these little black dots, right? Those are the lacuna. That's where the blood vessels pops out, and then all these lines that you see, right? Those are the caniculi. Let's take a look at the 3D model one more time. Okay. So in the center, you can see it becomes the spongy bone. All right. And the osteon here, it is the entire column that goes up, right? But the person who made this decided to shave off a little bit of it at a time. So, it goes up like that. And at the center, that's where you will find the blood vessel. Okay. Oops. These little holes right here. What are those holes? Where the cursor is, these holes. What are they? Look, all these holes. Tell me what those holes are. Yeah, you see more here, right? These holes. No?
That's the lacuna.
Those are the lacunas. That's right. You see these little dots here? And that's where the osteocytes, the bone cells, are going to be living in. Okay? And the function of the bone cells is to maintain the bone structure. Okay, maintain the lamina, the matrix. Okay, that's it. Anything else you guys want me to clarify before we move on? All right. So next, we're going to learn about the bones, the anatomy, the names of the different parts, and so on and so forth. This is our skeleton. That's what we look like on the inside. And we classify the bones into axial bone, which is shown in blue. Everything in blue here is the axial bone, belongs to the axial bone. It's basically the main frame of the body. And then you have these appendicular bones, okay, which includes our appendages, right? Like the whole arm, shoulder blades, legs, right? So we're gonna learn all these bones, all right, throughout the lecture. Okay, you will know the names of all these things. And you can imagine this is much harder, right, on an in-person test, because you will actually have to memorize them and label them on a test or something. Okay, what is the name of the indicator structure? We kind of just did that, right? So I'm hoping everybody knows the answer here. These little black dots, right? Lacuna. That's right, lacuna. I think that's how you pronounce it, lacuna. These little lines that are coming out, you see? Those little lines that makes these things look like little spiders. That's the canalculus. Okay. Central canal is the thing in the middle. That's where the blood vessel is going to be popping out. Okay. How about this one? The entire bone is covered by what? I'm not going to do the polls.
Periosteum.
That's right, the periosteum. The connective tissue, right? Thin layer. That's where the tendon's going to attach. That's where the blood vessel is going to be attaching. Okay, good. Next, we're going to learn about the skeleton. And we're going to start with the skull. The skull has two parts to it. There's the cranium, which protects the brain. And the cranium is easy because it's named after the bone that it's it's named after the part of the brain that's underneath it. So this bone here, what do you think this bone is called? What's
Frontal bone?
the frontal bone? That's right. The frontal bone protects the frontal lobe. What about these bones?
Parietal?
There you go. Right. So if you know your brain lobes, which you should because you did a test on Monday, then you would know the cranium bones. And then there are these facial bones that forms the face. Right. So cranial bones are thin, they are slightly curved and are joined together at sutures. It's as if you stitch them together. I'll show you what the suture looks like in a bit. Okay, so here are all the bones. And on the side, you can study these diagram later. But I'm gonna go through. I'm just gonna talk about it first, and then we will do some coloring together. Okay. Let's see, what have we got here? All this is on eCentennial, okay? Like you just have to go to lecture 10, study resources, 3D models. Okay, here's the head. Here's the whole skeleton, but we're talking about the head right now. So, let's talk about the cranium bones. Okay, so there is a bone right here, frontal bone. Right? Frontal bone, just one, right? One frontal bone, and it protects the frontal lobe. And more importantly, the frontal bone. All this is in the PowerPoint, by the way. Like, so you can just listen or follow along. The frontal bone forms the top part of your orbit. Orbit, O-R-B-I-T. Orbit is your eye socket. So it forms the top part of your eye socket. How many bones do you think forms your eye socket? Just like a guess.
Like 3?
Okay, yeah. Anyone else?
Five.
5, yeah. Okay, so it's a lot actually. I think it's 7 in total. Okay, so you should maybe have a piece of paper and write down all the bones that makes up your eye socket. Okay, there's the frontal bone. That's that one. That makes up the top. Okay, so on your sheet you can write frontal bone bracket top. Yeah, I'm gonna count them as I show you. All right, at the top here of the frontal bone, right, you will see it makes a connection with 2 other bones. You know, these little cracks, those are the sutures. Okay, the sutures. And that's where the soft spot used to be, but you know, in adults, it completely calcified. So this bone here is the parietal bone. And you can see the parietal bone right here. 2 of them, one on the right and then one on the left, right? They join at the top with a suture, and then they join at the front as well. Okay, how about this bone at the back? This bone at the back?
Occipital.
That's right, that is the occipital bone. Now, a couple of important thing about the occipital bone, and again, these are going to be in the PowerPoint, so no need to, you know, write it down for now. Let me just delete some of these stuff that are in the way. Okay, so the occipital bone at the bottom Oh my goodness, there's too many spine stuff here. Okay, at the bottom right here, there's a hole. Do you know what comes out of that hole at the bottom of the occipital bone?
The spinal cord.
That's
The
right.
brain.
Yeah. So inside that hole is the medulla oblongata, and then when it comes out, it becomes the spinal cord. Okay, so that's a pretty big hole, right? What do we call a hole in the body? We learned that before. Start with an F.
Foramen.
Yes, the foramen. Yes, and this is big. Big is magnum. This is foramen magnum. Magnum means big. Okay, foramen magnum. Okay. Now, if I look at the side, right here, you see there is a little, almost like a half circle. Okay, so that half circle has a name. It's called the occipital condyle. Don't worry about writing it down. We'll look at it later in the PowerPoint slides, okay? But they form like two little well, kind of like the bottom of like a rocking chair. You know, it allows us to nod the head. Okay? These occipital condyle, you have two. It's kind of flanking the hole, the foramen magnum, and these will connect with the first bone of your backbone, and it forms a joint that allows you to nod your head. Okay? So one occipital bone, two parietal bones, and then one frontal bone. So far should be okay, right? All right. These bones, what's the normal name of these bones? Like regular people, what do we call them?
Cheekbones.
The cheekbone, right? Cheekbone gives you the prominence of a cheekbone, and that's right here. That's the cheekbone. Okay, fancy name for cheekbone, zygomatic. Zygomatic. You have two zygomatic bones, one on each side, your two cheeks. And you can see the zygomatic. You should write down the zygomatic. Spelling is on the screen. That forms the lateral side of your eye socket. Okay, so frontal bone forms the top. Zygomatic forms the side, the lateral side. All right. We have another bone here. This is the maxilla. It's not the first time we hear about maxilla. Your hard palate, if you push your tongue up, that bone that you're feeling, that's the maxilla. The maxilla kind of forms the inner portion as well as the bottom part of your eye socket. Take a look here. Forms the bottom of the eye socket. Also creeps up a little bit to the side of your nose. Okay, there is your maxilla. Okay, it's actually two bones that are fused together. And we don't really see the fuse line, but it's two maxilla. And the maxilla also provides, if I isolate this, yeah, you see, those are the sockets to put your teeth in. And that's the hard palate. Okay, the front part of the hard palate anyways. So there is your maxilla. All right, let me go back here. Now this is the mandible. The mandible connects with another bone here, the temporal bone. So there is a joint here. It's called the MTJ, the mandibular temporal joint. Some people have a clicking sound in the MTJ when they move their jaw, like me. And it's just the way that it's connected. Like it's not properly connected. There's nothing they could do apparently. So and that joint is important because it allows the jaw to move, to chew. Okay, so mandible forms the lower jaw, and of course it provides sockets for the bottom row of teeth as well. Remember the submandibular salivary gland? That's named after the mandible. They are around right here. That's where your saliva glands are, right? So mandible. Temporal bone right here. Temporal bone is what forms the ear canal as well. The auditory canal. That's where it is. It's part of the temporal bone actually. And you have two temporal bone. Okay, there is a little knob here at the back. You can feel it. Now, if you touch the back of the ear, you can feel a knob. That's this knob right here. And there is a muscle. There is a muscle that goes from here all the way down to your sternum. Okay. And when you pull on that, it causes your head to go this way. Now you have another one on the other side, right? You pull on that and then it goes this way. So the muscle has a very long name, so I'm not gonna say it. So that's that. All right. So zygomatic, side of the eye socket, maxilla, bottom of the eye socket, temporal, frontal, front of the eye socket, top of the eye socket. Sorry, there's nothing at the front, otherwise it covers it. You can't see anything, right? Now there's another bone right here. That's called the sphenoid bone. The sphenoid bone is like the cornerstone of the skull. Every other bone connects to the sphenoid bone somehow, except for the mandible. Okay? Everything connects to it. And it starts at one side and goes all the way to the other side. And it forms the back of your eye socket. So if you take a look at here, right, there is a gap right there. There is an opening in the sphenoid bone. Okay, what goes through that? You know the
Optic
answer.
nerve.
Yes, the optic nerve. Remember, the eyeball has to send signal to the brain, right? So that's where the optic nerve is gonna exit, and you get another one over there, right? You see, pretty cool, huh? Now I'm gonna isolate this guy, and you can see it looks like a butterfly shape, sort of. Looks like a butterfly to me. Yeah. And interestingly, if you take a look at the top, there is a groove. There's a groove. What part of the brain do you think fits in there? It's a really tiny thing that's dangling down, and it goes right into that little saddle shape.
Pituitary gland.
Yes, very good. Answering all my questions today. That's where the pituitary gland is gonna sit. Protects it. Okay, like a little cradle, just holding it. Okay, so this is the sphenoid bone. Goes from one side all the way to the other. That's where the optic nerve is gonna go through. All right, let's go back to here. You should really play around with this thing, okay? It really helps you visualize where things are. All right, let's see the middle. What have we got in the middle? We have two bones here. Okay, there is one here called a necromal bone, and then there is one behind right here called the ethmoid bone. So ethmoid bone forms part of the eye socket as well, the medial side. Ethmoid, ethmoid. And there is going to be the necromal bone, two of them, one on each side. The necromal bone contains your tear duct. Okay, the tear duct runs inside the necromal bone. It's actually called the necromal duct, and the tear comes out, and with the eye. So both the necromal as well as the ethmoid bone makes up the eye socket, the medial side of the eye socket. So how many bones have you got so far on the list that makes up the eye socket? I didn't count, but how many do you have?
Was it 7?
But you don't have 7 yet, right? Do you?
6, I guess.
Yes,
Oh,
6, right?
okay. Sorry, I
Yeah.
lost count.
Yeah, that's it. Me too. I haven't even been counting. So let's go through them one more time. Frontal, zygomatic, maxilla, sphenoid at the back, sphenoid at the back. That's four. Ethmoid, that's 5, and then necromal, that's 6. Okay. The 7th one is really hard to see. I don't even know if I can click on it here, but right there, I think, right there. There we go. A little bit. It actually is also part of the eye socket. It's the palatine bone. And the palatine bone, if I isolate it, it actually forms like a U shape. And that's the little bit that forms the eye socket right there at the tip. And this bottom part here, that's where, can you guys actually see my mouse? Okay, you can. This bottom part here, that's also the hard palate, right? The hard palate is made up of the maxilla at the front and the palatine at the back. Is that okay? So you really have to, play around with this on your own and learn it properly. Okay, learn it properly. And then there is just the nasal bone right here. I guess we can color a little bit, right? Why not? Assuming you have printed it out.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So on the slide it says 8 bones of the cranium, but I'm not sure if I'm miscounting, but it doesn't seem like it lists the 8 bones.
Let me see. Um, 8 bones, right? So there is the frontal, 2 parietal, 2 temporal, so 2, 4, 5 here, 6, and then 7. Oh, is this just 7? 1, 2, 3. I think maybe I miscounted. Do I have the? Yeah, okay, maybe it's just 7 then. 7 bones of the cranium.
Okay.
Thank you. Hey, you are the first person who counted. I have had these slides for 15 years. Nobody ever told me.
Really?
I actually don't know if it's 7 or 8, but these are the bones. I have to double check which one it is. But I'm not gonna ask you on the test. I'm not gonna be like, oh, how many bones in the cranium? I will ask you though, which of the following is or is not part of the cranium, then you should know. Okay, we'll figure that out later. All right, let's color. You have these diagrams, right? How many of you have the diagram? Like, I'm just wondering if it's beneficial to do it. If a lot of you don't have it, then I mean, like, not much point, right? If you have the picture A, if you don't have it B, let me know. Oh, you guys are so prepared. I'm so touched. Okay, let's do it. Okay, most of you have it. Yes, good work. All right, so let's color this thing. Let's start with the easy one. Okay, easy one, right here. Okay, what would that be?
Frontal bone.
That is the
Frontal bone.
frontal. Yep, absolutely. And what letter is that? Actually, I can't really. It's B, right? Yeah. Frontal. Frontal bone. While you color, let me just quickly do a Google search and see how many bones in the cranium. Now I am curious. Number of bones in the cranium. Oh boy. They say 22. Oh, I think they include a face one. That's probably why. Hold on, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay. I see why I said 8 before. Because the ethmoid bone also count as the cranium, according to Google. Okay, so that there is the missing one, the ethmoid bone. And now we know. Thank you for bringing that up. Actually, I will fix the slide for future students. It won't benefit you though. So here, how about this one? What is this? This little one right here. Forms the sign of the eye socket. Anybody remember that
The
one?
zygomatic bone.
That is the zygomatic. That's right. Zygomatic. Gives you beautiful cheekbone. Bone, right? We put the word bone after. On the side, we have the what's that one?
Temporal or occipital? Or sorry,
Temporal.
parietal.
Temporal. That one would be temporal on the side. The parietal is more on the top. We can't really see it in this diagram. This would be the temporal. Remember, the temporal bone makes your ear canal. A is just the orbit, which is just fancy for eye socket. All right, this next one at the back. Can't really see it, the whole thing, but it actually does go to the side over here as well. And this is, as I said, the cornerstone of the skull. Every other bone, it's connected to it one way or the other, except for the mandible. So this is the sphenoid. Okay, remember at the top, there's a little cradle for the pituitary gland. Everything just fits perfectly in the body. All right, here we go. That's another. That is another bone right here.
Maxilla.
Yeah, and don't forget it kind of runs up to the side of the nose. There we go. Maxilla forms the top of the hard part of the hard palate, the roof of your mouth, and the sockets for the top row of your teeth. I'm running out of color here. And what about that?
Mandible.
Mandible.
Totally the mandible. There we go. G is pointing at G is actually pointing at I think is pointing at this wall that separates the two sides of the nose. That's just the nasal septum. And E is just pointing at right there. That's what, if you wear glasses, that's where your glasses is resting on. That's the nasal bone. Nasal bone. We cannot see some of the bones that I told you before. Like, for example, we don't see the acromial bone or the ethmoid bone here, but that's okay. I think that's the only skull we have.
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
So up on the mandible, there's the small piece that we didn't label. So is that part of the temporal lobe or?
Oh yeah. This thing right here, right? That's actually part
Yeah.
of the occipital lobe.
Okay.
If you let me see if I can show the. We don't need this anymore. Let me just how to close this. We'll need that. Is it this guy? Yeah. Sort of like over there, right? See, you see that little bit here? Oh, it's the temporal one right here. It's hard to tell. Maybe temporal, maybe occipital. Like, let me select the occipital right here. See if we can see at the front. Depends on how much you tilt your head, right? Maybe it's temporal. Yeah, maybe you're right. But I'm not gonna label it. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Okay, how about we take a break, guys? All right, 9:50, and then we'll learn more about bones in a bit. All right, see ya. Okay, let's keep going. Back to the PowerPoint slide here. So, it talks about all the information that I was telling you along the way. Here is the occipital bone again. It forms the base of the skull, and it contains the foramen magnum, the big hole, right? And that's where the medulla oblongata is going to come out and become the spinal cord. The occipital condyle are those, round projections on either side. And I'll show you what the first vertebra looks like. That's like the first bone of the backbone. And again, it forms a joint that allows us to nod our head. Here is the sphenoid bone again. All other bones connect to it, except for the mandible. We should say that. Except for the mandible. And forms the back of the eye socket. And there is the cup shape groove at the top called the sella turcica. That's how you pronounce it. Trust me. I checked it on Google before. Sella turcica. And it basically means a saddle that protects the pituitary gland. This is the hypothalamus. And there is your optic chiasma, where the optic nerve crosses the middle. And the part that connects the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland is called the infundibulum, which we'll talk more about later. Yeah. But the point of this is to show you the groove, right, that protects the pituitary gland. 14 facial bones. So 14 plus 8 gives you the 22 bones that makes up the whole head, right? And I'm not going to read through them again. The ones that has a star are the ones that forms the eye socket. All right. Quick question here, right? Which of the following bones is not part of the orbit? Let's do a poll. Let's see if you guys feel like doing polls today.
I was just looking through the slides, and on the facial bones, it has an ethmoid bone there as well. So should I take that out and put it into the the bones of the cranium? Or
Yeah, I mean, according to what I just Google up, the ethmoid bone is part of the cranium. Yes. Yeah, you could do that. I'll fix it for the future ones. Sorry about that. Yeah, but there won't be a question like that on the test. Okay, so like, don't worry about that, I suppose. So what's the answer here? Let's see what the people choose. Yes, most of you chose the temporal bone, and that would be correct. You know what? Let's just do the math again, just to make sure that it's right. So do we have 14 here? 2 plus 2 is 4. 5, 6, 7, not counting the ethmoid. So 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 plus the 5 is 14. Okay, yes. So the ethmoid does not belong here. All right, so I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna put it right here. There. Okay, and now it's correct. All right, so just move the ethmoid back to the cranium. It belongs to the cranium and not the facial. Yeah, it doesn't form part of your face. I suppose that's what it means. Okay, so thank you for pointing that out. I will update the slides on eCentennial later. Okay. Hold on. Where's my mouse? Oh, there we go. All right, next one. Which bone forms the socket for the top row of teeth? How about this one? What do you guys think? Do you remember? You can just say it if you know.
maxilla?
Yes, the
Maxilla.
maxilla. Very good. There we go. I basically repeat this like 6, 7 times already. I hope you know the answer is
See the sphenoid bone?
sphenoid bone. Yes, sphenoid. Sphenoid, sphenoid, I don't know. Both is okay, I suppose. Okay, next, spinal column. Spinal column. I think I have a 3D thing for the spinal column. Oh, hold on, let me see. Interactive, there we go. There we go. All right. So here is how do I make this full screen? Does it let me do full screen? It does not. How about this? There we go. It's not the best, okay, but it will have to do for now. So there are bones around the neck right here. That's the cervical vertebrae. Okay. The backbone is called the vertebral column, and each of these bones that makes up the whole backbone, we call that a vertebra. Vertebra right here, and the plural for vertebra is vertebrae. So there are 7 cervical vertebrae, okay, which is right here and the neck region. Okay, so we just call it C1 to C7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's take a look at C1 right here. Okay, you see, C1 actually has a special name called the atlas, but we'll get to that in a second. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm very rusty with this thing. You see these 2 grooves here where the cursor is? Those grooves are for the occipital condyle to fit right into it. Okay? And then again, it lets us nod ahead. There is a C2 right here. It's called the axis, C2 right here. And C1 and C2 actually forms a joint that allows us to shake the head from side to side. You can see part of C2 actually has this projection that goes through the middle of C1, right? Okay, so that's cervical. All the red ones are the cervical, and it forms the neck. You know, in I think in some culture, I saw this once on like a documentary. Like people put the rings around the neck. Every time there's a birthday, they put another ring, and then it ends up their neck is really long, right? Have you guys seen something like that before? Like in
Yeah, is it Indonesia or something? I'm not 100% sure.
yeah, I don't remember
Sounds
where,
familiar.
but it's like tradition for them, and that's basically stretching the cervical bones. They cannot take the rings out because it would not support the head anymore, right? So they need to have the rings to keep the neck upright, basically. If you've never seen that before, you should look it up. It's an interesting thing. Here we have the thoracic T1 all the way to T12. At the back, that's where the ribs are going to be attached to, as you will see later on. And then we have the lumbar one here, L1 to L5. We have the sacrum and the coxal bone at the bottom. So you can see this curvature of the spine. It's not always like this. Like when we're first born as a baby, the spine is actually relatively straight. Okay, and that's why when you bring the baby home, one of the first thing you have to do is it's called tummy time. Okay, you basically put the baby on the tummy, and then you let them strengthen their neck by lifting their head, and that basically will help set the curvature for the neck. And once they start learning how to walk, the weight of the body, it's gonna help shape the curvature of the thoracic section. So we have like a convex section up here, a concave section, and then convex again, right? So if we don't have enough calcium in the bone, for example, then the bone gets weak, and as we get older and older, you know, it no longer supports our weight properly, and then we get hunchbacks, right? For some people, we get hunchback. So that's the spine right here. Okay, so 7 cervical vertebrae for the neck, 12 thoracic vertebrae, because we have 12 pair of ribs, right? 12 pair of ribs. Same in male and female. Someone asked me that once. 5 lumbar vertebrae. Sacrum is this bone right here. It's 5 bone fused together. And then we have the coccyx bone. Again, if you have trouble pronouncing things with a Y, just change it to an I. So that's coccyx bone. That's the tailbone. Yeah, if we had a tail, this would be very long, but it's just 3 to 5 bones fused together, depending on the person. So C1 and C2 is the first 2 bones of the backbone. The first 2 bones of the cervical vertebrae. C1 is atlas, C2 is axis. If you have trouble memorizing them, just remember T comes before X in the alphabetical order. So atlas and axis. So they form a pivot joint. You can see the C2 has a little protrusion here. You don't have to know the name, but you know that there it is. It's the odontoid process that goes through the C1 and it allows us to shake the head. You see the grooves here, right? The depression, the groove here is for the occipital bone. Right, so I'm gonna highlight them right here. This makes a connection, forms a joint really with the occipital bone. Right? Allows you to nod your head. C1, C2 allows you to shake the head. Turn the head. Okay, so this is the vertebra. Each vertebra has a similar structure. They do get bigger as it goes down the spinal, the backbone, which makes sense because you have to support all the weight on top of it, right? Think of it as a bunch of chairs stacked together, right? So there are various things that are sticking out from it. Let me see if I can show you this on the other 3D. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm just gonna use my hand, see if it's a little bit better. Give me a second. Let me just take this guy. There we go. Okay. So there are a bunch of stuff that are sticking out everywhere. First of all, there are these things at the top. Okay. Those are called the superior articulate process. Okay, just hear me out. Okay, don't worry about writing it down for now. Those are superior because it's on top. Superior articulate process. A process. When you talk about bone and you say the word process, it's just something that sticks out. Okay, so you know up here when I was showing you the C1 and the C2, there is a process. Is the thing that sticks out. Okay, there's a transverse process, right? Okay, so it's just something that sticks out. So you have the superior articular process right here. And then here is the inferior articulate process. So let me put it in a sentence for you, okay? There is L3 and then there's L4. L is lumbar, right? There are 5 L, L1 to L5. You might remember we talked about spinal tap, right? You stick the needle in between L4 and L5. So, you know, L3 and L4. So L4, the superior articulate process of L4 is going to connect with the inferior articulate process of L3. That's basically what it is. Okay, they're like puzzle pieces. They fit. So the superior one is going to connect with the inferior one of the bone on top. Now you have this thing at the back that's called the spinous process. You can feel it, you know, if you put your hand like at the back here and then you just just run it down your neck here, like press harder, you can feel the little bumps or little ridges. Okay, you're feeling these spinous process. So they kind of lock the spine in place, right, so that we can only bend forward and then we can't bend backward too much. Yeah, it's for stability, right? If we can bend forward and backwards with equal amount of ranges, then we are like that, inflatable balloon thing at like, at like a car dealership or something, right? They used to have those things. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's for stability. Okay. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint here. There's also a little opening at the side. This one is harder for me to show you because I have not figured out a way to isolate two things. I don't think it's possible for this model here, but let me just see here. Oh, there it is. You see that hole right there? Hold on again. It's easier with my finger. There we go. This hole, right? So there's a hole here. There's a hole here. What do you think comes out of that hole?
Nerves.
Yes, the spinal nerves. How many pairs do we have? You still remember?
31?
31 pairs.
31.
That's right. There you go. 31 pairs, right? So the that hole is called the intervertebral foramen. You already know a foramen is a hole. So this hole is between two vertebrae. Okay? So foramen magnum is a hole at the base of the occipital lobe. Intervertebral foramen is between two vertebrae. All right? That's it. And this is where the spinal cord is going to be in, right? Spinal cord is going to be right inside the body with the meninges and all that stuff. Okay, let's label the rib cage, and then we'll go through the slides. There we go. This is the rib cage. Okay. So right here in the middle, right here is going to be the sternum. They used to have to cut this open, with like a chainsaw if they want to operate on the heart. As you can see, it's like very, very scary, and you might not even recover from something like that. So that's before they invent like endoscope and stuff like that, right? So the the sternum has three parts. There is the manubrium, man, and then manubrium at the top, and the middle portion, that's called the body. Is very boring name. The body bone. Okay, and there's a little notch right here. You can feel the notch, right? If you just go down here, you can feel the notch, like right there. That's where my notch is. That's the xiphoid process. Okay, xiphoid process. So together, they make up the sternum. I think it's called a breastbone. Yeah, breastbone. So the xiphoid process actually allows the diaphragm to kind of hook onto it. All right. What else do we have? Now, let's take a look at the ribs. We have 12 pairs of ribs. 12 pairs of ribs. So the first 7 pairs are over here. Okay, 1. I'm just going to color one side, okay, to save time. 2. And it connects to the back, right? 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. So this first 7 pair, they are called true ribs. True ribs. This is number 1 to 7. They are called true ribs because they attach directly to the sternum. They attach directly to the sternum. And they do it through these cartilage. And so that's cartilage right here, cartilage, cartilage. These cartilage, they are called costal cartilage. Costal cartilage. So number 1 and 7 has their own costal cartilage, and it attached to the sternum. Okay. Number 1 and 2 attaches to the manubrium, and then 2 to 7 attaches to the body. Nothing attaches to the xiphoid process. So number 2 kind of attached like in the interface of where the manubrium and the body is. All right, moving on. We have 5 more, right? Let me see if I can color them here. Green. So that's 8, 9, 10. And it's hard to see, but that's the 11th one coming out there, 11 and 12. These are false ribs. False ribs. 8 to 12. They do not attach to the sternum directly. In fact, if you take a look at this, number 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10 right here, the cartilage is gonna attach to the cartilage of number 7. And then it just kind of piggybacks and connect to the sternum indirectly. Okay. 11 and 12 has no connection at all. Okay. So 11 and 12, number 11 and 12, we call them floating ribs. Floating ribs. Okay. You can feel your ribs, right? Like, you know, if you just press on the side like that, you can feel the ridges of the ribs maybe. And then 11 and 12, it's just, you know, it just kind of sticks out like that. Floating ribs. Any questions about the rib cage?
I have one. Isn't the 11th and 12th rib, can't those be surgically removed?
You know, I read something about it, but I don't know if it's a actually true thing. From what I read is that some people remove 11, 12 to make their waistline like slimmer, right? Is that what you're talking about, Zoe?
Yeah, no, I see a lot of well, I hear a lot of women get that done. They get the last 2 removed.
Yeah, but like I actually haven't spent time looking into it to see whether it's like, you know, like an urban myth or like if it's true. But I definitely have heard that before. Yeah, maybe we can find out. Yeah, interesting. So that's that. All right. What else do we have? Okay, that's everything I told you about. You can read through it. It's nothing complicated. I think the bone unit is
Question.
pretty straightforward. Yeah, go ahead.
So for the coastal cartilage, does it go all the way down to like the last rib? So like
Yeah,
where 12 is kind of here?
No, it only goes up to 10, right? So 11 and 12, they don't even have
Okay.
cartilage. Yeah,
Okay, so 1 through 10 has cartilage connecting it to the sternum.
that's right. So 1 to 7 has its own, and then
Okay.
8, 9, 10, the cartilage will connect to the cartilage of number 7.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the shoulder. The shoulder. All right, so this is the shoulder girdle. I don't know if you guys actually can see me. Like I just realized recently that when I run the PowerPoint, like depends how you set up your screen, right? Can you guys actually see me on the video? Some of you maybe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it would be really silly for me to be doing all these gestures when no one can actually see me. Anyway, if you see me, great. If not, I know it shows up on the YouTube though, okay? But it's just that it depends how you set up your Zoom. Anyway, this is the shoulder girdle. Okay, so there are a couple of bones, right? There is the clavicle that goes right here. Right? Clavicle is also called the what is it called? Collarbone. Collarbone. Right? Two clavicles. Right? One of them, one end connects to the manubrium of the sternum, and then the other one actually goes to your scapula. Right? So let me go and show you on the skeleton. Where is the skeleton? Right here. Okay. So zoom out first. There it is. That's the clavicle. And the good thing about this program is if you click on it, it actually pronounce it for you. Okay, it has a British accent though, so it's very interesting. There is the clavicle connecting to the manubrium at the front, and it forms like an S shape, and it goes all the way to connect to your scapula. A scapula. Right? And again, like if you run your hand like through the back of your shoulder blade, scapula, you might feel a spine there. Okay, that's this thing right here, the ridge. It's actually called the spine of the scapula. Okay, and if you follow that all the way to the side, right, that's where you will have a little connection here that allows the clavicle to connect. Okay, so clavicle connects with the sternum at the front and the scapula at the back. And there are actually names for all these different parts of the scapula, but we're not going to worry about it. Right? But when you read about it, you might see this is called acromion and so on and so forth. But that's just the scapula. We have two of them. Okay, the shoulder blades, scapula. Now I'm gonna take the hand away here. You see there is a groove here, and there is a groove here for the hand to connect to. Okay, not the hand, sorry. The hand is this thing, right? What do we call the whole thing? Don't we call it the arm, I guess? Yeah, for the upper arm to connect to. Okay, so that is the humerus, the funny bone, right? You might have heard of that. And it forms like a ball and socket joint. So let me take that away again. That's the socket, and then that's the ball. It connects to it. Okay, so the groove is actually part of the scapula. All right, so that's how you form the shoulder girdle right here. Each shoulder girdle contains a clavicle and a scapula. It supports the arm and serves as a place of attachment for muscle. What kind of muscle attach to the shoulder girdle? Do you guys know what this muscle is called?
The bicep, and I think the tricep as well.
Bicep is here, tricep here. Good try. What's this one? Anybody know? Anybody work out a lot here? Maybe starts with a D. No. There's a deltoid here. Okay, the deltoid. And then it basically stabilizes the shoulder. The thing about it is the more flexible a joint is, the more prone it is to injury, right? So, people dislocate their shoulder. Sometimes you hear it, right? Like you see in a movie all the time. A guy dislocated his shoulder and then they could just pop it back in. It, of course, doesn't happen like that in real life, okay? Like it's gonna hurt a lot and and you need to find someone to actually do it for you, right? Like at the ER or chiropractor, that kind of stuff. Okay, the arm. Let's take a look at the arm. At the proximal end, proximal is closer to the joint, right? Distal, proximal. At the proximal end, the head of the humerus, the funny bone, forms a ball and socket joint with the glenoid cavity of the scapula. That's what I was trying to show you earlier, right? That's the glenoid cavity. Right? And that's where you would have the head of the humerus connecting it. Okay. And at the distal end of the humerus, there's a hinge joint. Hinge joint is like a door, right? It's only one way. You cannot really, rotate. You can rotate the arm forward. When you rotate the arm forward, it's actually the ball and socket joint here that's doing the rotation, right? And then at the back here, like your elbow, the elbow is actually part of the forearm bone. Let me show you over here. Okay, let's move down, move down. This is the humerus, is very long, and there is the ulna that forms the elbow. And this is the radius. You know, this is the chicken wing, right? Like when you eat chicken wing, this is essentially the chicken wing. Chicken and humans, the arm actually have we call it homology. Okay, similar structure. I think I have a chicken wing picture coming up to show you. There, that's a human arm, and that's a chicken wing. Yeah. So the part that nobody eats. At least I don't eat it. It's just all skin. It's not healthy, I suppose. That's basically the hand of the chicken. Okay, but then the chicken wing. That's this part. Okay. And what I try to show you here is that the elbow, it's the ulna, it's the inner bone, the medial bone of the forearm. And then the one that's on the outside is the radius. Ulna, radius, humerus. Okay. So starting at the top, scapula, humerus, radius, ulna. This is the right arm. Okay, in anatomical position, right? Remember this, like if you stand up like this with your hand forward, that's anatomical position, right? So depending on which arm you're looking at, the radius is either on the right side of the diagram or the left side of the diagram, right? It depends. Okay, but if you look at the hand and you find a thumb, you will know that the radius is always on the side of the thumb. It's on the lateral side. And then at the end of the radius and the ulna, it forms a condyle joint, like the rocking chair I was telling you about, right? With the head, with the carpals. So let's take a moment and label the hand here. Okay, so we have the radius and the ulna, and there are a bunch of bones right here. Bunch of bones right here. Okay, so those bones, they are called carpals. Carpals, and there are eight carpals. Okay, the people who you carpool with, they are your carpals. Carpals. You guys know any condition that has the name carpals in it?
Carpal tunnel
Carpal tunnel.
syndrome.
Yeah, that's the one. Everyone knows that one, right? There is actually a band of connective tissue over here. It's like a wristband that goes around it. And carpal tunnel is when you are using your hand repeatedly in some kind of motion, like when you play tennis, or if you use the mouse at an awkward angle. And then the tendon here, they get inflamed, and then the band is causing pressure to build up. So what they do is they open up the hand and then they cut the band and relieve the tension. I think there is a video on YouTube that shows the procedure. It can be a little bit, gross, but it's educational. You can look it up yourself. So those are the carpals, okay? Here we have 5 bones that forms like right here, the back of the hand, if you would, like this part of the hand. There are 5 bones. You might even be able to feel them. That is the metacarpals. Metacarpals. And we have 5 of them. 5 metacarpals. And then we have the finger bones. Finger bones. You can color all the finger bones. Those are the phalanges. Phalanges. Okay. Can you count how many phalanges we have? How many phalanges do you see?
Each hand 5?
5.
Are you sure? Let's count again. Take a closer look and tell me
10.
10? 10.
how.
10.
More than that.
14.
14.
1,
That's
2,
right.
3,
Very
4,
good.
5, 6.
2 in the thumb. Okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, 14 phalanges on each hand. Okay, 14 phalanges on each hand. Okay, that's that. Any question about the hand? Everybody okay with that? All right, let's see what's next. Which bone is the most proximal? Proximal means closest to the joint. Which one is most proximal? Okay, not much answers coming in, but for those of you who did answer, most of you got it right. It's going to be the humerus. The humerus. Yeah, humerus. So again, right, just look at my arm here. Humerus. Okay. Radius on the outside. Ulna on the inside. Carpal, as in carpal tunnel syndrome. Metacarpal and phalanges. Okay, you should, when you're sitting there, I don't know, relaxing, just like feel the bones, recite the names. Okay. How about this one? What is that pointing at? What is that? Anybody know what that is?
It's the scapula.
That is the
Scapula.
scapula. Yep. Scapula right there. It's this whole thing, right? That's the scapula. Very good. How about that?
Clavicle.
Yes, clavicle. It connects to the front, and then we know it makes an S. This guy's really toned. You can see it's a very well definition at the back right here that connects to the scapula. Right? That's it. Okay, how about that one? Everybody knows that one, right? I hope.
Occipital.
Yeah, occipital.
Occipital.
So you will see, some of these questions. The last test is not that difficult. Most people do super well on the last test because a lot of this information is just like factual stuff, right? We'll see. I don't want to say that it's too easy and then you let your guard down. But there's hope. The kidney one is difficult. That's why I give you two trials. But the last test usually people do very well. How many finger bones do you have on each hand?
14 phalanges.
That's the right answer. 14 phalanges. Only 2 in the thumb, right? Like you can bend the thumb, like 1 here, 2 here. But then for these fingers, you have like 1, 2, and 3. All right, this next part is confusing. It's confusing. Let me try my best to talk about it. Let's go back to our. We have this thing in the lab, eh? Like at the school, we actually bought one. And and it's really useful to show people. But anyway, this is the pelvic girdle now. The pelvic girdle. Right here. Okay. So the pelvic girdle is made up of 3 bones. 3 bones. And I'll label this for you, okay? Just try to relax and listen to what I have to say. This is the ilium with an I. I-L-I-U-M. The one in the intestine is I-L-E-U-M, right? So this is ilium. There is the pubis. And then there is the ischium. That's how you pronounce it, okay? Yeah, if you click on the pronunciation, it will tell you it's called ischium right there. So right now, I assume you are sitting, right? You are sitting on the ischium, this knob. That is what you are resting on, supporting the body, the weight of the body. That's the ischium, and it has a name which we'll label in a bit. This is the ilium, and at the top of the ilium there's a crest. It's like this. Okay, like if you have a heavy box, and then you try to hold it, and fumble for your keys or something, open the door. You're resting it on your ilium, right? The ilium crest. Hopefully you will never forget after that laborious demonstration. And the ilium is connecting to the sacrum at the back. So that's ilium connecting to the sacrum. And then another ilium here. Okay, there is a big hole here. Can you tell me what goes through that hole for female? This big hole. Baby, that's right. That's the baby. That hole is rigid because it's formed by the bones, right? That's why the baby, if it's too big, they have to induce the labor. They have to come out because otherwise the head physically will not fit through this opening. Right? The limitation is that. Okay? Otherwise they have to do a C-section, right? Which is a very scary thing. There is the ischium here, and then there is the pubis. The pubis has a. It's not showing in this diagram. I don't know why, but there is a cartilage that connects the right pubis with the left pubis, and you will see that in the reproductive system. Maybe let me just quickly show you that so that you have an idea. You don't have to flip through it. Reproductive system is next time, and is it? Oh yeah, it's next time. So there is the reproductive stuff that we're gonna do, but over here, that's the guy, and this here, this pubis, symphysis pubis in the guy, and in the woman as well, symphysis pubis. That's the bone, cartilage. Sorry, that's the cartilage that is going to be right here, connecting the pubis in this gap right there. Okay, I don't know why it's not showing up here. All right, there is an other foramen here. There's another hole here. What goes through that hole? What do you think? What goes through that hole? Wild guess, speculation.
Muscles or nerves?
Okay, yeah. And what was the what else did someone else say?
For a leg.
For the okay, yeah. So I mean, putting all the answers together, that's for the nerve and the blood vessels to go to the leg. Okay, it goes through this hole. Right? Think about it. When we're sitting down, like we don't want to be compressing our blood vessels, right? Like what if we accidentally sit on a blood vessel that takes the blood to the leg, right? We're gonna totally kill off the leg, right? So by putting the blood vessels and the nerves through this opening, it protects it from that kind of situation. So this hole, again, I'll tell you the name later. Okay, this hole is formed by the ischium and the pubis. Now there is a socket here. Another socket is called the again, I'll tell you the name later. It's acetabulum. Okay, so this socket is where the femur is gonna stick on, right? So you see right here, that's the femur, and the head of the femur sticks right into the acetabulum, and it's made out of 3 bones. The ilium forms the top, the pubis forms the back, and then the pubis at the front. Okay, So pubis, ilium, and ischium together we call it a coxal bone. Coxal. So you have coxal bone on the right, coxal bone on the left, and together it forms the pubis. Okay, too much information, eh? Let's draw it out to make it better.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So on the skeleton that's showing, is that like a male skeleton or a female skeleton? Because I'm just assuming like the hole would be smaller in a dude.
Yeah. Okay. So, couple of things that separates a male and a female skeleton. It's actually not the size of the hole so much, but it's about the angle. Apparently, there is a couple ways to measure it. I honestly don't know what skeleton this is. But yeah, that's a great question. And again, we will have to ask the all-knowing Google for the for the answer. Not the answer you're looking for, I bet, but sorry, that's all I got so far. All right, let's go and label this guy. Okay, so let's start with this thing over here. There we go. Okay, so there is the ilium. Ilium, Ilium. And this is where you hold your box, right? The iliac crest. Iliac crest. Now it's really hard to see, but this here, I want you to kind of outline it, okay? That is where the head of the femur is gonna go attached to. That's gonna connect to it, right? This is head of the femur. Femur. The longest bone in the body. You know, if we all sit up straight, like in a class, usually I would do this in the classroom. I would say, everybody sit up straight and then look around, and then we see people are actually similar in height. But once we stand up, of course, we have different heights, right? So it's the femur that causes to have a difference in height. From the waist up, we are all pretty much the same. That's an interesting thing that I learned. So that is the acetabulum. Okay, it's the socket for femur to form the ball and socket joint, right? Okay, so I don't know. Let's color this guy if you want. There is the ilium, and it forms the top part of it. Top part. And so you can color just like a little bit top over there. Right here we have another one. Right, it's hard to tell where it transitions on this diagram, but you know it's there. And what is the name of that? Anybody remember from the brief description that I gave you? This was not too hard to remember. It's like near the pubic area. So what do we call it?
Pubic bone?
Yeah, pubis. Pubis. Okay, pubis. And I told you there's a little bit of cartilage in between. It's called the symphysis pubis. Symphysis pubis. A lot of these names are derived from like Latin, so you know they probably mean something else in Latin, but I actually don't remember all of them, unfortunately. Okay, so the pubis forms a little bit of the socket as well, and lastly we have this one that we're sitting on, and that is going to be forming also part of the acetabulum. And it's ischium. Ischium. Okay. So 1, 2, 3 together is a coxal bone. Coxal bone. So one on each side of the body. All right, this ugly looking thing here makes it looks like some kind of alien structure. That is the sacrum. 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 The little tail bones here, 3 to 5 of them. That is called the coccyx bone. Just 2 more things. Like a little wire management clamp that you might have on your desk. That's what this is. This is called the obturator. Like who came up with these names, right? Foramen. So we learned 3 foramens today, huh? The foramen magnum, the one between the backbone, and now we have an obturator foramen. And again, that's for blood vessels and nerves to go to the legs. So we don't compress them accidentally when we're sitting down. And just one final thing that you are sitting on right now. The part of the ischium that you sit on is called the ischiotuberosity. Ischiotuberosity. S-I-T-Y, sorry. My younger daughter is quite skinny. I don't know why. Like she eats, but then she just doesn't gain weight. Okay, so when she sits on my lap, it actually hurts because I can feel her ischiotuberosity. It's like really burying into my thigh. So that's the bone again that we sit on. Okay. Now I'm just gonna go through the leg with you, the foot and the leg and the foot, and then we're gonna be done. All right, just hang in there, maybe 10 more minutes tops. I know it's a lot of stuff, but again, I don't think it's difficult. It's just names, right? And it can be fun, print these sheets out, color it. Hey, do we have a foot here? I don't have a foot here. Oh, can't believe that. That's okay. We'll just go through the diagram here. All right, so that's everything I told you about. You can read about it. It's not that difficult. Okay, the leg, we have the femur, and then the lower leg, we have the tibia. That's called a shin bone, right? Like if you play soccer, you have to wear a shin pad. That's the one in the middle. It's the weight-bearing one. And then on the side, we have the fibula. So it's kind of like the hand. The middle one in the hand, that's the ulna and radius on the side. But for the leg, it's the tibia and the fibula. And my favorite bone of the body is the patella. It just reminds me of the song. Like, do you guys know the song like Umbrella by Rihanna? Some of you might know it. Right? It goes like, Ella Ella, right? So I don't know why whenever I see the patella, that song just kind of pops up in my mind. Okay? The patella Ella Ella. That is the kneecap. Okay, kneecap. And the kneecap is special because it's actually embedded within a tendon. A tendon is something connects a bone with another bone. So some people actually can move their kneecap from side to side. That's it. And so femur, patella, tibia, fibula. Then we have the foot. Okay. The foot is similar to the hand. Remember the hand, we have the carpals here. Well, instead of the carpals, we have the tarsals. Tarsals. And there are only 7 of them. And I do actually want you to know 2 of the tarsals. Let me go to this guy, this skeleton here. It's whatever's left of him anyways. Oh my goodness, what did I do? Give me a second. Let me see if I can recenter the guy or girl. I don't know which one this is. Okay, so here, this is the tibia, right? And you can see there's actually 2 knobs here for the femur to fit in. That's the patella at the front. There is the fibula on the side. Okay, so now I want to go down here to the leg, to the foot. Sorry, I have trouble distinguishing foot and leg. It's like a language thing for me. I just can't get them straight all the time. So here we go. 7 tarsals, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 carpals in the wrist, right? But 7 tarsals here. So of the 7 tarsals, I want you to know the talus and the calcaneus. Calcaneus forms the heel. And of course, the heel is very important, right? It stabilizes the foot, allows us to walk. And the talus forms part of the ankle. Okay. So the tibia and the fibula kind of clams onto the talus. And then you have all the other bones. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, calcaneus is 7. And then we have these metatarsals. And finally, the toes. What do we call the toes? Just same thing as the hand. Phalanges. Phalanges. All right. So here's the foot again. Everything I told you. Talus and calcaneus, they are the 2 of the 7 tarsals bone that I want you to know. And then the toes, right? Phalanges. Also 14. 2 in the big toe, 3 for each of the other toes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I do want to show you something. Hold on a second. My sister-in-law, she fell off the stairs 3 weeks ago. Okay, and this is what happened to her feet. She sent me an X-ray because she knows I can show my class. She broke her toe. She broke her small toe. Right. But this is afterwards. This is afterwards. So they had to do surgery for her. And they actually cut open the toe, and they put a ring in there, like a wire that holds it back together. And this is gonna stay in her like forever now. Right? They're not gonna take that out. So they basically like put the toe back together, secure with this ring structure, and it waits for the bone to heal. Okay, so she's bedridden for almost a month now. She just took off her cast, and she's just able to move it without too much pain. But she was walking too fast, and she missed a step, and that happened. It's very scary. But I wanted to show you because like it was new to me. I didn't know they could do that, right? Like it's crazy. Okay, well that's it. Thank you very much. I will see you all again on Monday. Study hard for the kidney test. We do have class on Monday. We'll finish the rest of the lecture, hopefully. See ya.
So the test is just lecture 9.
Yep, just kidney. Just kidney.
Thank you.